I will give just a brief introduction, short introduction about our guest speaker. As a guest speaker, we have Aromal Nair. He's a business analyst at Barclays for past 2 years and have won national level hackathon at BitCamp 2019, organized by RAIT. He has interned at Bhabha Atomic Research Center, published and also published a research paper in ICAST 2019, which is an international conference of advance in science and technology. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Aromal, for coming here and just sparing some of time and giving some knowledge to our girls too. So yeah, you can continue.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the hearty introduction, Vaishnavi.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'll just begin, I think. When UMIT approached me, they wanted me to talk about my journey. So I didn't know how to like what exactly to speak initially. Like I was thinking, ki, like how do I speak to a group of people like wherein I myself am like I had to form certain sentences of what to speak, what not to speak. Then I thought let's just talk to them as a senior, as a brother for that matter, and just tell them what exactly I faced, how exactly how exactly I completed my engineering, how from not knowing at anything about programming in my first year to going to win a hackathon and to publish a research paper and getting placed in Barclays happened. So yeah, I actually come from a completely non-programming background. Like before in 11th and 12th, I had taken electrical maintenance because everyone in that mode is to clear the entrance exams and all. So in my first year, I got into computer science in KJ Soma College Engineering, but I didn't know anything. I just had an interest in computers, but I didn't know programming, and I had just heard random words C, C++, Java. But when I entered, I saw that there were a lot of people around me that were already coding, and I saw what they were doing. Like there was a person who built a small website. There were people who were coding in CodeChef, HackerRank, and all that. And when I saw all that, I fell in love with the whole process of solving a problem and getting something out of it. Like basically, I fell in love with the process of creating something while you're sitting somewhere, and that to creating such amazing products. So in my first year, I started learning C and C++ as every other student. And in my second year, I started venturing out in different projects. Like for us, there was a lot of projects that were coming up as part of syllabus, and there were a lot of other like faculty and all gave a lot of projects right for us. So I ventured into that, and the thing is, there's a common notion that when you enter a project, like when you do a project for anyone for that matter, you have to know everything about it. This is a common misconception actually. So whenever you enter a project, I would say if you're interested in any project for that matter, okay, just make sure that you know what exactly like what exactly is required from you from that project, and then like this is from my experience, you will be able to learn it if you have proper interest and hard work. You will be able to learn it. Trust me or not. This is from personal experience because I was a person who didn't know anything in my first year, and I can say till the start of my second year. I started everything. I started building everything, and then yeah, in third year, in third year, actually, that's in third year, the placement this started, wherein what happened is internships. The company started coming for internships. So what happens is, I think you guys must also know this. Till that point of time, you don't know how exactly placement works. Okay, I think if there are a lot of first year, second year, this they might not know how placement exactly works. So suddenly in third year, all these companies are coming for internships. They are holding these coding competitions. They are holding all these interviews and all. And we were just flabbergasted. We were just like, oh my God, this is how exactly you like. This is the competition. This is the process that I need to put in, and that's how I actually got a taste of how exactly placement works. Yeah. So in third year again, companies came in. For internship, there were lesser number of companies, but for placements, a lot more companies came in. So I, from my experience, I got a taste there only in the internship process. And then I started working on my aptitude skills, my interview skills, my technical skills. And then, yeah, in my final year, Barclays came into the picture as a first company, and it held certain rounds. I cleared these rounds. I'll be talking about these rounds in depth as the seminar goes by. And yeah, I got selected in Barclays. And then after getting selected into Barclays, that's when I like after getting selected into Barclays, I had a sense of relief that yeah, I will be somewhere after fourth year. So that's why I started, researching more about hackathons as well. because before that point I was just participating in hackathons but wasn't actually confident about myself that whether I will be able to do it. And that's another misconception that I will be talking about, wherein you we think that we should know everything before entering a hackathon because so many people are going to come up, like people are going to be well versed in blockchain, people are going to be well versed in machine learning, people are going to create Android application, iOS application, and I don't know anything. So this is one misconception that I want to break. If this worked for me, what even though I was also intimidated till a certain point of time, okay, but at that point I was like, let's just try learning it, right? What's the harm in trying to build a product that you can build, be it a simple website, be it a simple Android app. Let's just try learning it. Even if you don't know, let's just give 1 or 2 weeks to this particular whatever product we are building, and then let's just see what happens in the hackathon. So that's how I think you all will be facing several hackathons throughout the year. So never keep in your mind that I'm very less as a person and I don't know XYZ item, so I won't be able to participate in a hackathon. Please just throw it out of your mind. Like it's not. Don't keep it in your mind. Make sure that you're giving yourself ample amount of time to learn a technology, and then you go into it. Don't get intimidated by anyone. And this is one thing that helped me. Me and my team, we weren't in like we knew that we are just going to create there. Whenever we went, we were like we will interact with other people. We will know what's trending. We will learn new project. We learn a new technology within a span of 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and then go and implement over there. And all these thoughts were there in my mind and in our mind. And then we went to the hackathon after my Barclay placement, and I actually went to 3 hackathons and I lost 2 hackathons, but I had a lot of experience there. Like people usually say that when you lose you get a lot of experience, and when you win you win. So when I lost, the experience that I got was like amazing. Like I met so many people over there with so many different tech stack and so many experiences over there, and that actually helped me prepare for my final hackathon where I won. So yeah, again, final hackathon came into the picture. And should I talk about the preparation of individual placement and hackathon, or how should I go? Like,
Yeah, you can go either way, like interview preparations and also with the hackathon. Like half of if you could touch both the topics, like.
okay, sure. I'll go first with the hackathon, like how exactly hackathon works. So,
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, I'll just cover what exactly a hackathon is. Okay, it's not rocket science. It's just a competition where several teams compete to find optimal and efficient solutions for different problem statements that's given by the competition. Now, there are two types of hackathons: open hackathons and closed hackathons. Open hackathons is where anyone can participate, be it basically a college can conduct it, and anyone from any college can participate it. Or a closed hackathon is something which Somaya usually conducts, like wherein only the college students can participate, or only a set of students. For example, only students till final year, no company employees can participate. Something like when there's a certain restriction, it's called a closed hackathon. As simple as that. Okay. Am I going too fast? I'm sorry. Am I going too fast? No,
No,
right?
no, no,
Yeah.
no. Yeah,
Okay.
correct
Okay.
pace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Again, after this, what happened is, I'll tell you. Yeah, what a hackathon is. It's basically a competition where teams compete to find the optimal solution. And what is okay? I'll tell you what is important while participating in a hackathon. The first thing is your team. Okay, the team that you go with. Now you just cannot go with anyone that you, yeah, this is my friend, like ye meri dost hai, ya ye mera dost hai. You cannot do that. I mean, because even though you know that, like, if you know that that person doesn't contribute well, or he's just coming there to just chill or not do anything over there, I don't think you should go with that person. But again, you shouldn't go with a person who's completely a stranger and who knows everything, because that way you won't be able to connect, and they won't be able to, there's a lot of brainstorming sessions that goes behind hackathons. Like you don't just go there and start coding. There's a lot of brainstorming sessions. So for all these brainstorming sessions, you need to be with people who you connect with, and they know your strengths and weaknesses. You know your strengths and weaknesses. In my case, I'll tell you, my teammate and I had a clear picture of that. I will be handling some of the coding part, and my teammate, she handled the GUI part, the UI design and all part, because UI design is very important, and I wasn't that good at UI design. I knew I wasn't good at UI design, and she was brilliant at UI design. So we had planned in such a way that while she would be building the UI design, I would be coding some of the features, and then she will join me. We would integrate everything, and then as my speaking skills were a bit better than her, I would be presenting it, and yeah, that's how. So you should know how your team works, whom to select in your team firstly, and how your team works. I mean, suppose let's just say you, Vaishnavi, as a person is going to code, right? Suppose you select two people, okay? So even if you're very good at coding, but you're no one in your team knows how to present, no, over there you guys won't be selected. Trust me or not. I have seen like brilliant ideas, but not getting selected even in the first round because they could not verbally say what exactly my idea is. So make sure. So as Vaishnavi, if you're a person, you must select a team which includes people who have good presentation skills, who have good coding skills, who have, in fact, I would even say who has good documentation skills. Because when you actually provide a documentation as well in the time frame, it's very impressive. Okay, because obviously every software or every solution needs a documentation, but yeah, that's the thing. The team should be well balanced. Secondly, what problem statement that you select, right? So this was a very difficult thing for us because we used to go like, let's choose easy one. We'll be able to implement it and we'll do whatever we want. But then that was very bad because when we went there were 30 other teams with the same idea, and that kind of bogged us down because that means our competition is not only the 100, our tougher competition is these 30. Because when the judges come, they see all the 30 are same solution, they won't give anything unless and until it stands out, right? So, and but again, don't choose a topic which is very difficult or something that no one is choosing. I mean, there was I remember a team, they had chosen a project of machine learning wherein they were doing a geo points, like they were doing a geolocation of where all an NGO might require this thing and all. So the idea was very good, okay, but they weren't able to implement it. I mean, the team wasn't that skilled or something to implement it, and they couldn't even clear the first round. So I would say strike a balance, find a topic which you as a team knows कि हाँ ये हम लोग कर लेंगे, this we would do, and even if we don't, we have confidence that we would study enough for the next 2 to 3 weeks or how much ever time you take in, and then you proceed for it. This is the second part. And third is how you prepare for a hackathon. Okay, so obviously I think everyone, for those of you who don't know, it is usually a 24-hour continuous event where they take care of your lunch, dinner, and I think breakfast also. That depends on the college actually which organizes, and you get sufficient amount of you get sleeping bags and sleeping bags and all also. So make sure that you're not coding 24/7. Okay, that's just inefficient because I have personally seen this. By the time the 24 hours end, you don't even remember what you coded, and it's all a very big mess. So when you go over, so the preparation, what I mean by preparation is not only the technical preparation that goes into it, the mental preparation also, how you exactly mentally prepare for it, right? So I'll just give you how I prepared. You might be able to learn something from it. uh, Before itself we had decided that we would sleep like previous day completely. We will get our sleep so that we are maximum we are able to sleep like 2 to 3 hours, and we were constantly gulping down Red Bulls as well so that we are just awake a bit. And other preparation is the technical preparation. For technical preparation, I would suggest first you decide strictly on what product you're building. Are you going to build a web app? Are you going to build an Android application? Are you going to build a hybrid application? Are you going to build a normal code which just you're going to run a Python code which opens up something? Just decide on whatever you're building and make sure that you are focusing on that. Okay, for example, if there's a topic called a banking system, correct? If there's a solution called a banking system, the problem statement includes a banking system. So me as a person, I'll think, ki, yeah, for a banking system, if I want everyone to access it, I should make it a website, correct? If I want everyone to access it, if I make it as an app, less and less people will download it. And if I'm making a website, what all features should I do? How should I make it more, more easy for people to read and access? So all these things, just decide with your team. This session is actually called brainstorming session also. Like make sure that you're setting out time every day or maybe twice, once in 2 days, where you're brainstorming with your team what exactly you're going to build and how you're going to build it. And usually hackathons also have a this consideration wherein they allow you to make a small prototype before coming into the hackathon. So in that aspect also, because obviously a prototype is going to help you, because if you come there and start from scratch, it's not going to be an advantage. So research this also. So yeah, always whenever you're going for a hackathon, first study the hackathon, what exactly they want, and all the three things that I said regarding the hackathon, and these preparations regarding whichever hackathon. And as you might already know, all the preparation, if I want to speak about specifically technical preparation, for creation of an Android app, there are many resources on the internet. For creation of an iOS app, there are many resources on the internet. If you want to create something using Flutter, or if you want to simply create a web app and just add features, you can use mean stack, or you can just use HTML and CSS and create a website, which is actually useful for people. Okay, this is how usually hackathons are prepared for. Or if you want to go full fledged, like you want to build something using machine learning, or you want to do something using blockchain, make sure that it is implementable, because I have seen a lot of blockchain projects not getting executed in the hackathon because 24 hours is very less for a blockchain project. Okay, so this was the third aspect of a hackathon, where you prepare, how you prepare for a hackathon. So yeah, so we like my I'll just tell you what I did in generally for the preparation. I knew Python, my teammate knew Python, and we knew Tkinter as well, which is used to build the GUI in Python. And there was Google. I'm not sure if you guys know Google Colab, where you can train your machine learning projects. Yeah. So all these were the tools that I used for like basically these are just some tools. Okay, I'm not even remembering every tool. You if you just go into the internet, you will get everything. Trust me or not. So it's basically all upon you how you work yourself up and all. I think you're okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think till now, do the like any doubts or anything?
Guys, if you have any doubts regarding the hackathon, if you want to ask something, you can ask. Like, yeah, any ideas if you could, if you have any questions.
Or
So
later on
there
also
were
you can
some of
ask.
the questions like, yeah, there were some of the questions like there was one of the question which someone has asked if the hackathon percentile or rank can be written in the resume.
Hackathon percentile or rank. Okay, so for me, I didn't get any hackathon percentile or rank. We were just given first prize, second prize, third prize, because we were told that they weren't going to reveal the scores or what the percentile or rank you're given. But rank, what does
Okay.
this rank mean? Is it the rank you stood in the hackathon, or is it some marks they give? Because in my hackathon, this percentile or rank wasn't there, to be honest.
Actually, even I don't know, but mostly if you get one first to three ranks, that of course it's a winner. Like you are
Okay,
considered a
first,
winner. So
second,
of course
third.
you're,
Are you
yeah,
talking about first, second, third? Oh,
yeah.
you have to mention that. That's 100% you have to mention that. I thought it is some 90% or some number or something, how much score you got.
No, no,
No, no, no,
no,
no,
no.
no. I'm sorry. You have to mention that. In fact, make it as your first line in your resume that you have done that. In fact, also have something about resume building as well. We will cover that in
Yeah.
the due course of time. If you have any rank, first, second, third, even till fifth, I would say is very good. Till fifth, if you're officially given a fifth position or fourth position, but make sure that you have some proof of that. Okay, like you're not just blindly saying I got 10 this thing and that. You have some proof. That would really help. And yeah, you to answer the question, you can include that in the resume.
Also,
Hello, sir.
if you could give us, yeah, yeah, Anika. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a doubt. I
Yeah.
have participated in some hackathons, but generally what we do is we have a team, and that's all that we go ahead with.
Okay.
Recently, we have a thing called teaming up uh, within the hackathons. So how should
Okay.
we, like go ahead with complete strangers altogether, and also boost up the networking through a
Okay.
hackathon?
Okay, okay. So this peeling up thing, even though it's the first time I heard, I got the concept. Wherein is it like you go into the hackathon and you make teams? You have to. Is it compulsory that you make teams with others, or how does it work? Can you just tell me that?
Yeah, so basically, what exactly happened was that, like, we have
Uh-huh.
a Discord server and there are
Uh-huh.
channels. So, one channel is Team Up. So, therein we given a short introduction and we tell them our skills. And we just
Okay.
write in that if anyone is interested for teaming up, then they can contact
Mm-hmm.
us. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how that goes ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I would say, if you want to do this, it's very good. Like if you want to team up with other people as well. But I would say if you're going for something like that, you should give each other enough amount of communication and time as well. So if, for example, I as a person, if I want to code with a stranger and go into a 24-hour hackathon where I'm actually giving my 24 hours and playing for the win, I would go with someone who I trust. And if you are like, for example, you said in the Discord server, after that, if they're communicating with you, if you feel that this person is right for you, give that person enough, like communicate with that person, ask them what their strong points are, what their weak points are, and you can even test, like give a small test or something like, how does this work? Can you explain me something about this? And then you can team up with that person. This teaming up thing, I think the hackathons mostly brought out for people to network. So in every hackathon, you also have the liberty to go to each team and ask like, what are you like? Can you explain something like, what are you building? This liberty you have, don't forget. Like whichever hackathon you go, no, suppose you need to take some break for networking purposes, you can actually go to other teams and ask them. For example, in my hackathon, what happened was, after a certain point of time, all the teams were just talking with each other, like what they were building, and each and every person was giving a small presentation, and they were, interacting. Like after a certain point, everyone just starts interacting with themselves. So, your second question, how to network is this way. You can just directly go to them. You can just ask them what their product is. You can explain what your product is in general. You can talk how different technology stack works, or how exactly they have built that project. Regarding your first question, in the Discord server or whichever this team up server is there, you can just first you need to trust the person, then contact the person, then you can give a small amount of test like I said or something, and then you can make sure that you know the person. That's what I said. Like, if that person, this is just an example, if that person is very aggressive, or he's like he gets very frustrated, so then I don't think, even if he knows everything, that would be a good person to team up with. It has to be a person who's calm minded and who knows like which solution to implement at what time. I hope that answers your question, Anika.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, also like you can keep it for later on also. Like you can, if right now you don't want to ask, it's totally fine.
There was one of the question like how to build for the solution building, how to think to build a solution. Like if you are given already a problem statement, then how do you think and implement the solution?
How do you think and implement? Okay. So whenever you're given a problem statement, right? What do you like? Wait. For example, I'll just give a small example. Okay. Whenever, okay, Vaishnavi, I'll give you a small question. I want you to build a website for no, I want you to build a solution for effective exam attendance system. Let's just take attendance system. A simple
Yes.
example.
Yes.
So what would your first approach be? Like what would your first approach be? What would you want to build? Would you want to build an Android application, or would you want to build a website?
Actually, I think website, maybe website, yeah, or
Website, yeah,
Android maybe. Like
correct,
if you say if there will be condition, if you are in college, I think Android application will be more suitable because everyone
correct,
have
correct,
the
yeah,
phone. But if you are
yes,
during this pandemic online, so we are at laptop, so I think
exactly.
web app.
Okay, okay. So you have decided on a web app, correct?
Yeah.
Now, what is the first and primitive feature that you would like to implement on your web app? Most primitive feature. Taking
Feature.
attendance.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
attendance.
Yeah.
Simple. So, see, this was just an example. What I asked Vaishnavi was, I wanted to know her thought process. So she actually quickly thought of two solutions, which actually, basically two options which are there, and then she decided the optimal one among them. So that's how you should actually go when you're building the solution for anything. So for example, for attendance system, as Vaishnavi told, there are two options. Either I can build a website or I can build an application. Then you should brainstorm with your team on which of them is actually feasible. Like as she said, website is for the pandemic. Website is good, but if you're actually going to a college, an Android application or an iOS application is good. iOS a lot of people don't use, so creating a hybrid app would be more good, which can be installed on both Android and iOS application. Now, again, back to the question, how to build it. Um, Once you've decided that you're building a hybrid app, look, go into the internet and look how to build it most efficiently. So, for example, if you're building only an Android app, you can use Android Studio, for example. Or if you're right now, Flutter is also in the market for building really cool apps. And Flutter is actually not that difficult to learn, but it takes time to understand what exactly is there. But eventually you will learn all this. And how to build. So again, firstly you need to decide the solution, what you're going to decide, and then you have to research on how to what all technologies are currently there to build it and how to build it. And then I would say in the brainstorming session, no, you can just jot down the points, what all is required in this. Because trust me or not, brainstorming sessions was one of the way to answer your question. Was one of the major ways with which we could build it. Because if I don't have an idea, my teammate would come up with an idea which will never cross my mind. So you can use this brainstorming session to jot down the point that individually each person feels that should be there in the system, and then combine them into something that has some features which makes it optimal, and which can be implemented over there. So yeah, I think this will answer this does answer the question.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I think we can continue with the session, and if there will be more
Uh,
questions, it will be answered during the end of the session. We will answer the other questions.
Okay, sure. So I think hackathon, I have mostly covered most of the things. Um, I'll just quickly revise all the things regarding a hackathon. Then we will move on to the placement session. Okay. For a hackathon, firstly you need a good team with which you can connect, with which you can vibe. If I can use the word, you can vibe with the person, and that person knows your strength and weakness. You know the strength and weakness. The team should have people who present, people who code, people who are able to come up with random ideas and brainstorming sessions. This is the team aspect. Second, choose a solution which actually helps you. No, choose a solution which is not too difficult, which is not too easy, and which you can implement. That's the second part. And third part, how to implement. Choose a problem statement. Choose the what you want to build, whether web app, website, app, an ML algorithm, or whatever you want to build. Go into the internet, just surf whatever, how much ever you can, and then yeah. And regarding the other aspects, get enough rest. Obviously, get enough rest. Study the hackathon, how exactly the hackathon is, and yeah, so I think I missed one thing. In a hackathon, what exactly happens? Okay, in those 24 hours, I would quickly like to cover that. So, other than the part where you're building it, okay, you're building a product, that's fine. But other than that, also a lot of things happen. So, for my thing, what happened was there were 3 rounds. Okay, I'm sure if people have attended hackathon, they know this. The first round is where the college council or someone from the college itself, the professor or some seniors, would come from desk to desk and allocate certain points based on how much they have built till that time, and are they confident enough about the idea. Okay. So, for example, if I'm not confident about my idea, the number of marks, or if everything is a mess, if they see that everything is a mess and people are not able to explain, people are not able to do anything, then my marks will be very less. Okay. And eventually, they go to each and every team and allocate certain points. Then there was a second round. Now, this round is very important because this round, usually for my hackathon, externally a person had come. There were 3 people. One was a there one worked in a NGO, one was a startup founder, and one was a CFO of a startup. So all these people had come up, and this was where you had to pitch in. These were the judges for the final rounds as well. But in second round, these people had come in, and we were told that you have to pitch to these. And if these people select you, only then you can present to all the judges in front of the main auditorium. Okay. So The second round usually happens in the evening, where
Hello. I think we have lost the connection. I think he will be soon joining. Just wait for a few seconds.
Till then, if anyone wants to share his or her hackathon story, we would be more than happy to hear it from you.
Yes, guys. We already have one of the hackathon. I think IEEE She Hacks. Many people have joined it, right? From our college, especially. If you guys are interested, you can share your journey over there or any hackathon, like any hackathon. Be it DSE hackathon, like even DSE holds very so many hackathons. So if you guys are interested in sharing that story, even that will be okay.
hello,
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
I
Uh,
got dropped off. I guess I'm not sure why.
yeah,
What
yeah, yeah.
happened?
I think the connection, there was some problem with the connection.
Okay. Yeah, my router is working. Okay. Anyways, so where did I got cut off? I guess.
Like you were explaining the process of the hackathon, like the stages one, two, where the
Okay.
teachers, yeah, college, you get selected with from your teachers, and then with
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Yeah. So first round is your teachers. Okay. Teachers or any people from the college, they come and they allocate certain marks to you. The second round is where people from the other companies or people from other colleges, the startup founders or someone else comes into picture, and then they judge your product. And this is a very important round because what happens is when this round happens, after this round only certain number of teams are allowed to present to the final auditorium basically. So, for example, in my case, there were around 40, 50 teams, and only 20, 15, only 15 teams, if my memory serves right, were allowed to participate in the final auditorium round. That was because all the rest of the teams either didn't have a product, they couldn't present properly, the product didn't have stability, they were just running random things or random laptops or something like that. Some issue was there. So in the second round, or it might depend on college to college how it works. But yeah, in the second round or the round where you are actually selected to the final round, make sure that you have a executable and a good product. Okay, and you're able to present it well, obviously. Yeah, then the final round. Now, I'm not sure how many of you people know what an elevator pitch is. Everyone knows?
Yeah,
I
we
think,
do. I think most
yeah,
of
yeah.
people do.
Perfect, perfect. So just in case people don't know, just in case for yeah, Anika knows. Yeah. Just in case anyone doesn't know, an elevator pitch is a 60-second or 2 minute, 120 seconds pitch where you present your idea, you sell out your idea. So if you have seen TVF pictures, it is something like that. Like you sell out your idea, you present it, you execute it, and you say that this product is the best among all the products that's present. Okay, so elevator pitch is a whole different topic, which where I'll just cover it if possible. But elevator pitch is basically you sell out your product. That's it. That's the one line description of an elevator pitch. You in that 1 minute or 2 minutes, you tell what your product is. You tell what features it does, how it solves the problem statement offered by the competition, and all this. Okay, you have to be loud. You have to be clear. You cannot use words, negative words, and you cannot say like my product doesn't have this at this point of time. It won't have this. You can say that yeah, this will be implemented in a future release or something like that. You don't say negative words about your product. Your product should be sold, not that's the basic concept of elevator pitch. That's what happens in the final round where you do an elevator pitch in front of all the people, and then yeah, based on the final marks, you are declared the winner, first, second, third, and subsequently it's given. Your code is just to add, your code is also reviewed. Like you have what happened is in my thing, they had actually opened my GitHub account and they manually checked like whether everything was proper and whether uh, I think they had also made a check where we cannot take it if we are taking large amount of code from the internet or if we are taking completely everything from the internet. That also they had made a check. But if you are, for example, if you're debugging something, you can take things from Stack Overflow and all that. But yeah, don't paste everything from internet and just go present because that's just not ethical. For, at least in any hackathon if you go. So yeah, that's all. That's I think that covers most of the hackathon aspect. If you have any doubts regarding hackathon, just mention. I can cover that also. So yeah, should I go for hackathon placements then?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So SN Usha, so your college. May I just know how many companies in general, which all companies come in for placements?
Yeah, so we have Barclays itself. So
Okay,
Barclays
perfect.
does come, and then Accenture, and then we are because of online. So companies do varies because last time
Mm-hmm.
online so many new companies came. Even American Express came, I think, and Deutsche
Okay,
Bank, and
nice, nice.
yeah, yeah. So few
Okay.
companies.
So, to whoever is attending this, I would like to say that your college is not the only way you can get a job. Okay, trust me or not. If you don't get, for example, Barclays, or if you don't get American Express or any company, please don't be sad or please don't be demotivated because if you apply off campus or if you apply externally, you might get a much better package or you might get a much better role than you were getting in the company that comes to your college. So don't just restrict yourself to your college. In my head I had already prepared that if I'm not getting into XYZ company, I had shortlisted some companies. If I wasn't getting into these companies, I would be applying off campus. And off campus is not that intimidating as you think. I got into campus placements only. But I just want to. A lot of my friends faced a. They actually, went into certain amount of depression and all, and I that was very unnecessary because later on they got placed into really good companies. Because they just think that oh shit, Barclays went. Now I won't get into anywhere if I'm not getting it. Please don't. Please none of it think that off campus also there are a lot of good opportunities. In fact, I think Barclays also, if I'm not wrong, organizes off campus as well. And EY, Ernst and Young, KPMG, every company organizes off campus. So make sure that you are researching a lot. You are asking your seniors as well. A lot of my seniors also had gone through off campus. I'm not sure how many of you know Media.net company. So Media.net also offers really good roles and packages. So just before starting my session, I want to say that please don't be disheartened by if any one or two companies don't accept you because think that it is their loss and just go for the next company. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just talk about my journey. Okay, I'll just talk in general what placement comprises of. Firstly, it comprises. Firstly, there's an aptitude test. Now, what this aptitude test consists of? It consists of quant, basically the maths till 10th, I would say. 11, 12 is just I think too difficult for them to put. There is verbal, your daily reading. You can whatever. If you read in novels, then well and good. If you don't, start reading some articles in newspapers and all that. Okay. Then there's logical reasoning, which is just your riddles and puzzles. Now, whatever I said, quant, verbal, and logical, you will get everything on the internet. There is a website called IdeaBix. You will get everything over there. There's a website called Geeks for Geeks, Tutorials Point. All of this, you'll get certain amount of aptitude questions. And if you're a person who wants to read through a book, there is RS Agarwal, obviously, for aptitude questions. Okay. Aptitude test, I would say, is the easiest part of the whole interview process because a lot of people get selected after that. Then usually comes a technical coding test. Okay, this is where competitive programming comes into picture. So if you are a person who is off campus CP advice, sure, competitive programming understanding, yeah. CP, there, once you enter the industry, CP means a lot of things. So that's why for some, I thought that CP means something else. Competitive programming, this is a competitive programming comes in the picture. Yeah. What happens is if you're already a person who posts in CodeChef or HackerRank or Hacker or any other this thing for that matter, make sure that you continue and you have a streak maintained throughout the time. Okay, like you don't leave coding in between and say that I'll just see it when the patient comes. That never happens. Trust me or not. You have to have at least, you need to practice at least, one problem a day is still feasible, right? Everyone can practice one problem a day. Uh, till actually the placement comes up. And for competitive programming, I'll just start with advice then. First, study how exactly other people solve competitive programming. Like, don't just start with greedy solutions that, yeah, I think this works. Let's just code it. And if it doesn't pass in a test case, half the people get demotivated, and then they just. I'm sorry, Vaishnavi. I'm audible, right? I'm just confirming.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So, okay, there was a lag. Now it's fine. So, what happens is, what was I saying? Sure. So, if you're someone who if you're someone who hasn't yet prepared also, try, if you put your if you dedicatedly put yourself into competitive program for the next 1 month itself, you'll be a damn good coder. Trust me on that. Okay, it's not like you have to do years and years of coding to be very good. Obviously, that's true to a certain extent if you want to be the best coder out there. But if you want to do competitive programming, if you want to do enough competitive programming for getting into any of the companies, then you need to give a dedicated 1 month. And it depends on your interest actually. I would suggest 2 to 3 hours because you need to study how a problem, what a problem is, what its test case is. Because a lot of time what happens is a test case, like it happened with me. Solution initially when I was learning competitive programming. I just did that, and it used to frustrate me so much that my solution is not getting accepted. And then I started asking the seniors, then I started asking other people, and then you can also look into other solutions that have been submitted for the same problem. You can just check what their approach was, and then you can implement that in your next, whatever problem that you're handling. So, Anika, to answer your question, I would suggest for off-campus CP, Geeks for Geeks, and any other website has a lot of competitive programming question for specific company as well. Like while I was studying this, I saw this. That's why I'm saying. You can either do that. Second, whenever you are attempting a problem, first try yourself. Even if twice or thrice it's not working, try it for at least 5 times. If then it's not working, be calm, and then read other solution, how exactly people whose solution has been accepted work. Because sometimes due to time complexity, things don't work out, right? Sometimes due to time complexity also, you have to optimize your code, you have to keep optimizing your code. All this would be present in other solutions as well. So when you see other solution, you will learn something. Trust me or not, when you look at others code, even though it will seem intimidating, you will learn something. You can then study it, you can then incorporate it. Or one advice that I want to give is, I used to panic a lot initially when a solution didn't work out. And when I used to see other solution, I used to be like, shit, I cannot even try to be like this. But that's wrong. That's completely wrong. If someone else can code like that, you can also code like that. Even if not exactly like that, if you put your heart into it, and if you actually calmly, if I may use the word calmly, if you calmly look at the solution and the solution that has been given, you will be able to slowly incorporate such optimal solutions into your coding solutions. So yeah, I just go into that frame. And yeah, coding, see, competitive programming is something that, yeah, you're welcome, Hanika. Competitive programming is something that you should, I would say you should start it from second year or first year itself. The first year is the optimal place, but second year also if you start, it's completely fine. And if third year also if you start, make sure that you're given dedicated amount of time. That's all I can say. Because by the time you hit fourth year, and if then you're starting, like, it depends on person. If he's exceptionally talented, then he might be able to do. But people like me, I needed some time to actually, get into that zone. So yeah, that is one thing. Then came this. So coding test is there and aptitude test is there. This is something that you give on your laptop or on your computers. This is once you pass this, then comes your interviews. Now interview has a certain number of parameters which you have to take care of. Okay. uh, I cleared the aptitude and the coding test of Barclays, and then came my technical interview. Now, the most important part in technical interview is your resume. because everything that an employer knows you is from your resume, correct? Like they haven't seen your LinkedIn profile, they haven't seen your GitHub profile, they don't know your parents for that matter. So they don't know you at all. The only thing that they know is your resume, correct? You pass them a piece of paper and say, this is who I am. Ask me whatever. So when you write your resume, no, make sure that your whatever you have written in your resume, you know everything about it. You know each and everything about it. I'll give you a very good example. There was a friend of mine who had participated in a hackathon, and that person had written that, and he didn't know like what exactly a certain like that what exactly a certain component did, okay, in that programming language. I'm not remember exactly which programming language I think it was Google Go or something. I don't remember exactly, but what happened is the person who came for the interview was a Go expert, was a language expert, and that person started grilling that person on that specific thing without focusing on any other thing. And this guy was in shock because what he had actually prepared for was the other aspect, but he had just included it as something that he had did. And this employer constantly asked about this thing. So make sure that when you're writing whatever you're writing on your resume, you know it like your name. Basically, that's all I can say. Like for example, if you have built a web application, make sure that you know which all technologies are used, what all features you implemented on it, how much time you took for it. If there's any question, also make sure that you decide. You while you're preparing, just make sure that you think, "Ki, this will be the question that asks for this. This will be the question that's asked for this." So yeah, that is resume part, and also make sure that don't write too many languages that you know, like C, C++, Java, COBOL, Go, all this. Don't write everything, because that will give your employer a chance to ask anything from anywhere. So make sure that you're writing only those languages which are actually prominent in. Okay, because I personally had written Python, C, and Java because that's the one I knew inside out. Even though if there was some question that could have popped up, what was constructor, or what is the difference between overload, method overloading, method overriding, anything like that, I could have handled it because it was my forte. Yeah. So something. So whenever you go into technical interview, your resume is what's presented in front of you, and they ask things from your resume. So for the preparation for the technical interview, I would say go for um, go for if there's any course that's preparing you for these interviews, I would not suggest you to go for that because you have a certain amount of books with you right now, correct? Data structures is there, algorithms is there. If there's any non-CS students also, you can actually buy these books because whichever books your CS counterparts are reading, and you can actually prepare well for them. Because I had not joined any course, and there was a course that there's a lot of interview preparation courses on the website. But I would suggest, like, it's my opinion, it's totally upon you, that I would suggest whatever you have, like whatever free sources that you have, be it Gigs for Gigs, be it India Wix, or whatever sources that you have for technical interview, just do every day, like just every day, just go through it before the placements. 1 year before placements, 6 months before placements, just go through it, just see what all is going on, and just study different things. For example, even if you study dynamic programming for 1 day, next day study backtracking, next day study XYZ items. Just all these free resources are enough, as per my knowledge, to crack the interviews of any big tier companies. So don't go for any paid courses at this point of time, at least when you are not earning properly. So when you are just earning from your internships or not. And second thing, in your resume, mention all your internships, because the internships are something which you can explain, like what you did. They cannot randomly question anything based on your internship. For example, I had interned with Baba Atomic Research Center, so I knew what I did because that I was handled the project, and that completely I was like it was under me, so I knew whatever happened. So whichever internships that you do, make sure that whatever you say in front of the interviewer, no, that much you know. Like for example, don't say stuff like basically don't say stuff you don't know. Don't throw words in front of the interviewer just to make yourself show as a person who knows things. Okay. if your internships are there, mention the internships and make sure you're prepared for any questions that come up for the internships as well. And also, I would suggest for the technical interview, make sure that you are practicing it with a pen and paper, because a lot of times what happens is you are asked to write a pseudo code. You are asked to write a pseudo code, or you are asked to write random, like, for example, I was asked to write a pseudo code and insertion sort, and I was like, random things can be asked. And sometimes what happens is they give you a set of questions and then you have to write it on paper. Like they might give you 5 programs and you have to write 5 programs on the spot, something like that. So make sure that you are practicing with a pen and paper instead of just coding, or instead of just verbally practicing. So that is one thing I would suggest. So yeah, regarding technical interview, I think I think this is all that I prepared for. Like for data structures were there, algorithms were there. If, for example, you can also study about operating systems if it will strengthen your case a lot basically. And technical interview, yeah. So this is what happens in a technical interview. For sample technical interview, I think either I can share or you might find it on the internet as well. There's a lot of questions specific to the topics. Also, there are a lot of questions in data structures. I was dependent completely on the internet. I went into the internet, so started studying for these questions and answers. So this was a technical interview. If you have, yeah, then the technical interview depends on the company. A company can hold either one technical interview or it can hold 3 technical interviews. It depends on the company basically. Okay. Then comes the HR interview. Okay. Now HR interview is one of the most complicated interviews that you might ever face, because it's the same set of questions that's asked to everyone. Okay. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And suppose you one question that I was asked is, suppose you are what was the question? Yeah. Suppose you have an angry angry colleague or an angry friend who comes to you with something. How would you handle it? Or if there is a deadline and you cannot there's a deadline that you cannot cross. How will you handle it? So at this point, they're not looking for a right answer, but they're looking for how you think. Like if you panic, sir, I would do this. Sir, I don't do that. Like they just want to see how calmly you approach things, how calmly you think, how collectively you think, that all the therav and the words that people use these days, right? You They try to incorporate in that, try to think why exactly they're asking that, and then communicate. Now, communication would be your superpower in HR interview. The way you communicate, basically how hackathons, the elevator pitch sells you out. Over here your over here in HR interview you sell yourself out. That's how it works. So if you're in an HR interview, make sure that your communication is at least better than how you were before preparation, because how you communicate your ideas, your body language, are you constantly putting your hand on your face, or are you constantly checking out your hair, or are you constantly what to say, are you constantly stammering like how I'm doing right now? Are you constantly stammering? So all these things, make sure that you practice well before going. And this they will ask a lot of behavioral questions, like how would you behave if this happens, or how would you behave if that happens. I'll just give you a quick example. Okay, I was asked if so I was a part of a council called CSI in my college. I'm not sure if you're I was a part of a council, and I was asked, suppose there's an event coming up. This is just a sample question that I'm sharing. Suppose there's an event coming up and your exams are coming up, but due to some reason you cannot handle both. Okay, so initially my reaction was, no sir, no sir, I will handle both. But that's not what they're expecting. That's just overconfidence, because they have listen to what they are saying, listen to what they're saying completely, listen to their question completely, and then proceed to answer the question. Yeah. Yeah. So back to the question, they were like, you cannot handle both. You have to do something. Like, what would your approach be? Now there are a lot of right answers to this. It's like there's no single right answer. It can be like I'll go to my GSEC, or I'll go to my team and I'll check if the event can be rescheduled, or I'll prioritize my things. I'll just stop going out to. I'll just stop doing nonsensical things which take my time, and I'll focus on these exams and events. And then I would keep a, you know, I'm not able to. Yeah, so basically something that makes sense is what they're expecting from you. Okay, so like the questions that are said right now, I was able to answer much better 2 years ago than I'm able to do right now because I had prepared at that point of time. So make sure that you're prepared for such behavioral questions where you yourself are putting yourself in an XYZ situation and then you're handling it. So this is one thing, and the role play question that I asked, like, what if you have an angry colleague or an angry friend who's coming to you with a problem? What would you do? How would you react to the person? Will you just shut them off, or will you help them? Will you actually suggest them solutions and all that? Correct. So these are all asked in HR interview, and the HR just sees how what your body language is, how you're communicating, if you have that calm and collective mentality that they require, and yeah, and they will also ask where do you see yourself in 5 years. So what I had did was I had googled the positions over there, like in the company, like what are the higher up positions and how fast you can reach there. So an average time for a post was given, like there was a technical lead or something, or BA, Barclays Analyst 4 or something was given, which took like 3 to 4 years. So I mentioned that in 5 years I'll try to no I like I'll try to be the that post which they had mentioned. So you can Google the positions in the companies as well. That's one thing that you can do. Oh, the most important part. Whenever you're going for any interview, Google the company. Make sure that you know what the company does, who the CEO is, who is. You can also Google the top three people: CFO, CEO, operations and logistics, and who handles this. Which all countries. Even if it has a lot of countries, then only the main branch is fine. And all these things, make sure that you know the company, because I have had a lot of friends who were rejected because they didn't know the full form of the company or they didn't know what the company does. Like you can't just go, yeah, I have heard that the company gives a lot of money, that's why I'm here. They'll directly tell you to go out, or please, the door is there, or something like that. So make sure that you Google the company, because at the end you're working for them, so you must know what they do. That's a basic thing. I'm sure I might be sounding dumb, but I actually had friends who did this. So yeah, this was an overall things that I faced. I'll also tell you some experiences of my friends. There happened a group discussion. Okay, group discussion happens a lot in some of the companies. So what happens is group discussion. I have studied, like Barclays didn't have a group discussion, but I had a lot of close friends who went through group discussion, and I saw their preparation. What they said was that you need to stand out. Even if you're saying points that are not logical, you need to stand out. But again, first priority is for logical points, obviously. But if there are 10 people sitting, if they have to select only one, like I think some company had this criteria where for each 10 people, they were only selecting one people. So for that one person, if you make logical points, all the 9 people will make logical points. Then what should you do to actually get selected? You have to stand out. You have, like, I would suggest, like, what my friends told me is you need to be loud. You need to be loud. You cannot whisper. You cannot be a beta person over there, and you need to be an alpha over there. Like all the alpha, if you know the concept of alpha and beta, like you need to be an alpha person over there. You need to be dominant over there. Domination is very necessary over there. Like you need to be able to jump into points, and you need to be able to retaliate to points that are made against your points as well. So something like that. And yeah, so group discussion, the topics you will get on the internet, like for example, it can be like, is climate change actually happening, or is it just something made up by people? Or I think nowadays the question would be, is corona handled well by people, or something like that. I think I'm not sure how the questions are right now, but something that you can prepare for this. Make sure that when you're going for a group discussion, even if you don't have a mirror, you take your phone front camera and practice in front of it, like what you're saying. Make sure that you're not moving your hand too much, like I'm doing right now. uh, Make sure that you are properly, how to say, you are a person who knows your stuff. That's what you want to prove over there, and you have to stand out. That's how group discussions work. If you have any other, yeah, so that's how that's group discussion. And there are certain companies, I would say, which had completely technical interviews. Like they were sure that they wanted people who code. That's it. Okay, this is just one scenario that I'm talking about. So first, in such scenario, the HR interview doesn't matter. If you want to get into a company which has like multiple rounds of only coding and only technical interview, make sure that you're preparing in that way. Like if if your seniors are there, or if there is some website which already has the experience of that company, then Google that and make sure that you're contacting that person, and getting some help from that person. It can be seniors from your college itself, or it can be in fact even I can help if any of you guys need any specific help regarding any specific aspect. And yeah, so if there's I had like I seen one company which had 3 rounds of technical tests and it selected no one. So that's a bit like I thought like at least one person they could have selected, but I felt okay, that the company's requirements didn't meet, so they didn't. So if you want to get into such companies which have 3 to 4 rounds of technical interviews, then make sure that you're preparing that well. You're not focusing on some HR interview which is not considered over there. You're not focusing on GD which is not considered over there. You're completely diving into the technical stuff. So that is one thing. Then yeah, I think that's pretty much it regarding interview preparation. Do you if you guys need to listen, like if you guys have some doubts?
Hello, sir. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask that, like when it comes to networking, how exactly should we effectively network with people, and how much is it helpful? Like you have been in industry for such a long time, so how does it benefit?
Okay, so being in the industry, okay, I'd first answer your question about networking. Okay, Vaishnavi, I just want to confirm whether I'm audible. Yes, right?
My connection might be lagging. Yeah, yes, you are.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, Anika, right? Anika asked that question. So the question, how to network? It's basically, see, when you go into hackathons, okay, I'll tell my experience. When I went into hackathons, I met random people. Okay, met a lot of people from the CEO. From There were a lot of startup CEOs. There were a lot of people from the CFO, and they actually ask your name when you actually go and talk to the people. No, they actually ask your name. Okay, what exactly do you do? And there itself you can share your LinkedIn and all, and you can connect with that person. And then another way I networked was when the other teams came into the picture, right? When the other teams were there, I actually, like as I said before, I went to their desk and I interacted with them, what their product was, how they built it, how did the idea pop up into their head. So naturally, when you talk with them, this is where a lot of body language also comes into the picture. When you show that you are interested in them, they will also see that, yeah, this person, we should connect, and it might benefit us. It might be a mutual benefit in the future. This way you can connect with them. Internships are a very good way to network. Like whichever place you go to internships, like I had a friend who had interned in Barclays itself, and she told me that she basically, like, even though she was in one team, she asked them so that other teams, if they can work, shift and work for the other team. Within the same team, you can ask keep whether I can work for the other team, whether and that way you'll get to know people from the other team. You can connect with them over the or basically over the project itself, or randomly you can connect with them. Or if there is if whenever you enter a company, there's a lot of lunchtime discussions, right? People all go together to the lunch, so you can accompany them to lunch and listen to their conversation, and they'll ask you definitely like where you're from and all, and that time also you can communicate with them very well. Okay, for example, let's just take Anika. I am Anika. I've done from graduation from this college. I am really, you can basically, thoda sa self glorify yourself. But yeah, overall, that is one way to network. And the other way I networked, internship I networked, hackathons I networked, faculty also, like if there's some faculty, they introduce you to a lot of seniors because they have access to them. So what happened was there was a project that was going on, and I I needed some help from a senior. So my faculty actually connected me to the senior. He gave me the number, he gave me the LinkedIn profile, and he actually called him up. So you can use a faculty as well to communicate to your seniors, and your seniors might be a very good way to network. Like your seniors are already there in the respective industries. They can actually help you get XYZ things or any advice also. In fact, one thing is there. If you have any mutual friends also no, in LinkedIn, I feel that people are ready to help. For example, suppose me and Vaishnavi are friends and Anika is Vaishnavi's friend. So if I see that Vaishnavi is a mutual friend and you ask me something regarding anything for that matter, I will feel obliged to help you because we have a mutual connection. So there is some credibility to who you are or what you have become. And I can check your LinkedIn profile as well. So this is how I network. I mean, if you want even more details, like you can actually browse through the internet as well. But if my experience helped you, like this is how I network basically to answer your question. Yeah, does that answer your question, Anika?
Yes, sir, definitely. I'll definitely follow these steps and network more effectively.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Guys, if any other questions are there, you can ask. Till that time, what I will ask, what kind of Barclay, like what kind of company Barclay is it? Is it focusing more on technical interview or the HR interview, as you say?
Barclays is a company which focuses on both. They need people who are technically inclined as well as people who communicate well. Because if you're a person who's just stagnant, who just codes at one place and just goes to the home, they don't like that person because you're there to work. Obviously, you're there to work, but you're also there to make make others feel your presence, right? So if you communicate with other teams, if you actually communicate with the people in your own team, also, I have seen some examples where people hesitate to communicate with their own team. So all these Barclays takes into their mind, and when they are hiring, they need people who are well versed, who have strike the balance in both technical and HR. In fact, I would say that when 2019 I'm a 2019 pass out. So when the selection was done, it was a combination of people who were very good in technical, who were very good in management, and who had managed to strike a balance in both. That it wasn't completely technical, it wasn't completely non-technical like that. It had a mixture of both. So Barclays is a company that, yeah, that's I think that answers.
Yeah, and one more question. If suppose we have few we don't really have much time to prepare for interview. So how do you suggest that how to go for a interview preparation? If you are currently in third year and from next year, I suppose placements will start.
Okay, but if you are in third year and the placement started fourth year, I think you have ample amount of time to prepare. 1 year is more than much more than enough to prepare. I think for proper preparation you need 3 months. I think for proper preparation, if you're actually dedicatedly giving it, without any other distractions like college or anything like that. I mean, if you are even if college is there, if you come home and directly go for preparation, I think 3 months is more than enough. But again, 1 year is too, like 1 year is perfect. Like 1 year is perfect to work on your weaknesses as well, on your strength as well. And this year you can also work on your internships and your skills as well. Okay. And I would also like one thing, again, I'm repeating one of my statements. Your resume is very, very important because your resume will decide whether you go there or not. That's it. Even if you don't deserve it, even if you deserve it, your resume will decide it. Actually, if you don't deserve it, you won't get selected. That's another thing. But if you deserve it and your resume is not up to the mark, you won't get selected. That's so when you have 1 year. Back to your question, you have time. Trust me or not, you have time to prepare. And you're in third year, right, Vaishnavi, if I'm not wrong?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
you're in
actually, I'm
third
in
year.
third year. It's like the sixth, seventh sem, sixth sem. So next sems will be
Yeah.
seventh and eighth. So yeah,
Next time will be seventh and eighth. So I think you have May, June,
yeah.
right? 2 months you have. I think April also we can count if you have if you give some dedication. But these 3 months, no, if you're focusing, if you divide your day between aptitude in technical interview and HR interview, you can give lesser time. Trust me or not, HR interview preparation is only required on how you communicate and some questions you can see. But if you actually divide your day, one or two, because trust me, you have already been preparing for this day. Okay, it's not like you're starting to prepare. You've already been preparing all the 3 years that you're there in your college. You have already been preparing. Start from there. Start from where you are, and these 2 months, just dedicate just dedicate your time in 24 hours. Not 24 hours. Obviously, you sleep and all, but the rest of the time, just divide it into these preparations and just dedicatedly follow it. Consistency, basically, consistency is the key. Consistently follow it, and trust me, it will be enough. Yeah.
And also, you mentioned the hackathon and the new technologies used. So, if
Huh.
suppose if person uses a technology, if suppose React is very prominent nowadays. So, if suppose person
Correct.
uses React, but they don't really know much about React, and on the other hand, if you know normal Bootstrap or on the normal HTML CSS, so what are the chances to getting selected on the normal HTML and the basic language than the React language? But because we don't really know much, then you can't really implement much in that language. So what do you suggest? What one should opt for?
Okay, this is actually a good question. Okay, I'll just take the example that you only took. Okay, React as a language is a difficult language. Even I know React JS is, even though it's JavaScript, but then there's a lot of components to it. So if you have implemented JavaScript well, even if you don't know it, but you have implemented it somewhere, make sure that you study what you have implemented. Okay, so suppose for example you have if you're telling me that you have done in HTML and Bootstrap, but you haven't touched React, then don't mention React in your resume or to the employers. Mention that you have done it with HTML and Bootstrap, and this is my web page design. That is one of the projects that I did, and highlight your other features of your resume as well. But if you've done React, if you've done even some, and you want, okay, this is for all the people who want to include something. If you're writing it in your resume, even if not done anything, make sure you study it right now. Are you getting what I'm saying? If you study it right now, then you will have some knowledge, some understanding of what the questions will be asked. Okay. And even if you have not implemented it, now mentally you are implementing it. If you think about it. And then you can, and then if after, for example, say 5 to 10 days, you're still not confident, don't include it in your resume, because if they go deep into React, then and you're not able to answer at least two questions, then they won't be impressed. Trust me or not, they won't be impressed. They would like to, because see, one thing also, I've seen that companies also want people who are willing to learn. It's not just people who know everything, it's also people who are willing to learn new stuff. So if you also prove yourself in a way that you are willing to learn new technology for the company, or you are willing to explore new fields, even if at that point of time you don't know xyz things, then also your chances of getting selected are high. So back to your question, if you know React well and good, if you have implemented React and you want to include it in your resume, study it well, study it hard, basically. How much ever you can study. And if after 5 to 10 days you're still not confident, do not include it. This is one tip that even my seniors had told me, that even if you want to include something and you're not well versed with it, don't hinder your chances of getting selected. Like, don't reduce it at all. I mean, why? I mean, if a language is reducing my chances of getting selected, I don't want to include it, dude. Like, then I would. But again, if you want to include, study for 5 to 10 days of what can come, what not can come, and then you can include it. That answers your question, right? I hope it
Yes,
answers.
yes, 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 it does. So if any other people have any questions, you can just ask, or we will just end the session if there are no questions. Because
Oh, it's 6:23. Okay.
yeah,
I thought it will go till 7, but I'm sorry, my content wasn't too much.
no, no, no.
Okay. I hope my content was. I hope what I my experience was helpful. Oh, thank you so much, Shanika. Thank you so much.
I think
Uh,
we don't really have questions. Yeah, yeah, yes, yes. You can continue.
if there are any, no, very informative. Thanks a lot, Rishali. Thanks a lot, Meghna. Thanks a lot. I like, I was actually praying this only, that my experience would help you guys somehow at least. It will help you guys, because I've. Thanks a lot, Priya. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So, if it's not like, make sure that whatever I have written, even if you don't remember something or the other, you have noted it down. Okay. Uh, I get sorry. I get disarrayed. I get into this thing. One sec. Sir, I had a doubt. If we know the basics of any language at MongoDB. Sorry. That question got erased. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, I will repeat. So, sir, I had a
Yeah.
doubt that if we know the basic of any language like MongoDB, then we should mention it in the skills of resume.
Basics of Mongo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you if it's but again, if you know MongoDB, right? Basics of MongoDB, what MongoDB is, and if you just try to work. What am I saying? MongoDB. Okay. In skills you can mention it, but make sure that you're studying MongoDB before going to the interview. So do not include it in your projects or internships if you haven't used it. If you have used it, include it. If you haven't used it, uh, make sure that you study what MongoDB is. Make sure you know what are the questions that are asked for MongoDB, and make sure you know how MongoDB, why you use MongoDB. I mean, why you learned MongoDB. Make sure that you learn that. And yeah, at the end, like if you are in third year, I missed the name who asked this question. If you are in third year and you want to include MongoDB, make sure that you study it well. Exactly how Vaishnavi's React works. Make sure that you study MongoDB well and then you write it in your skills. So even if they ask like if you know it, why haven't you included in the project? So just say that I had started a project, but it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to be. But then and I also had different other projects to work on. So that's why. But I did implement something on that. And also, if you don't want to say the statement that I said, just say that you learned it because you had a genuine interest on it. Okay. So if you know MongoDB, please make sure that when you are including it in your skills, you study it at least for 2-3 days properly, whichever skill you are working on. For example, React might take more. MongoDB will take three days, I think, to learn the interview questions, to learn basic technicalities of how it works and all. Yeah, I
So we
think
can
that's
mention
yeah.
like the skills, like if we know the basic of the skill, something like that, some language, then over there slash basic or something like that, we can mention that.
I won't recommend you to mention basic because that's like saying I know something, but then I wasn't too dedicated in it. That's how it like that's how it signifies to the this person. Just okay. So for example, I say that I had created a small game in Unity 3D in my third year, but I wasn't confident about including it because I didn't remember, like, I only remembered bits and pieces of it because I had created it, like, in that craze, I had created it and I had forgotten about it. So then I thought that no, 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 I want to include this. So I thought, let's just study Unity from scratch. I opened my project. I opened in a separate screen, I opened the basics of Unity, what exactly it does, and then I just compared it. And then I was, within, I think, 3 to 4 days, I was confident enough to put Unity as a skill. So, whenever you're including a skill, MongoDB, React, Unity, make sure that you study that well, the interview questions of that, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So again, I think Anjali asked that question. Anjali and Vaishnavi, it's basically striking a balance between not throwing too many words and not showing that you didn't do anything those 4 years. It's basically striking a balance. Strike it confidently. That's what I can say. Strike it confidently. Just that perfect. This thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so
As
much.
a first year, right, you cleared a lot of. Oh, thank you so much, Ria. Thank you so much. First year, you have a lot of time. You can take your time to you can know your friends also, and then you can contact these seniors, these Vaishnavi, Anika, and all, and they can also help you. But first year is, I think, you have a lot of time. You can chill thoda sa bhi. Second year is where you can actually, in first year you can actually start competitive programming dheere dheere, like, just get your hands dirty, basically. That's how I say it. Whenever you learn a new technology, first you get your hands dirty and then you start. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any more questions? Like, if you want to guys want to ask any more questions?
mm, I'll also think of some answers, like, no, I'll also think of some advices which I. Okay, how many people are 13? I think 13 people, right? 13, 14,
Yes.
14. 14 people. I Firstly, thank you so much for attending this session. I didn't know how many people were. one thing, just make sure that even if any company rejects you or you lose a hackathon, you are not a loser. You are not a loser. Trust me or not. I am a person who didn't come from any of this and have built something which made me realize that no person, there is not a single person who cannot do something if they don't have the dedication. Each and every person who's present in this call, and any person for that matter, can do something if they put their heart into it. Be it 2 months, if you have 2 months for placement, just give your 100%. And if you don't get selected, don't be disheartened. There are off campus, there are other hackathons, there are on campus also, there are several placements going on. And if there's any startup, there's a friend of mine who didn't get placed for I think for that particular year. He was in a separate college actually. He worked for a startup for 2 years, and then he got an offer from Deloitte. So things happen. Things, trust me, over the period of time, things do happen. Don't be intimidated by anyone present in your class, or anyone who's winning too much hackathons, or anyone who got placed in the first attempt itself. Don't be intimidated by anyone. Don't be scared of facing who you. Don't be scared of your own shortcomings and negativity. Work on them. Note it down. Imagine that you are the software and you have the XYZ bugs and you are fixing them. That's, I think, yeah, that's a quote that I usually use. Yeah, so don't be disheartened by anything that happens eventually. Uh, my my okay.
I think we can share your LinkedIn ID if that's not the problem.
Yeah, yeah. No, my email ID also can be shared. That's not a, yeah. My, yeah, LinkedIn email ID. In fact, my contact number also. I'm not, like, I don't think there's 14 people. I don't think it's much, right?
No, but
I think
uh,
it can be shared.
it's better if we share LinkedIn ID if that's not the problem.
Yeah, sure, sure. Share the LinkedIn ID, and if you have any other doubts, like, I'll give my number there itself. If
Yeah.
it's not a problem.
Sure. Yeah. So I think it was a great session, really motivating, as many of them mentioned. Like it was really motivating, and thank you so much for joining us. And also, we are grateful that you could spare some of your time to us. And I'm sure everyone has so much to take it back to. So
Hmm.
thank you so much.
I thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Vaishnavi. Actually, thank you so much, Sai. Also, I think Sai contacted me, but yeah, thank you so much, Sai, also for having me. Yeah, so I think if that, like, I'll just share a quick thing. When I was actually contacted, I actually didn't know what to say because uh, I have spoken in seminars before, like in my college and all. I was invited, but I didn't know how to talk to people who, like, there. I knew that these people, okay, so I didn't know how to communicate. But yeah, I think this was a very good experience for me as well, like, holding a seminar for people I don't know at all. So I think I'll if I'm doing something worthy enough in the future, this experience will help me in the future as well. Thanks a lot for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
So yeah, no problem, Anika. So do we how okay. Yeah, yeah, no problem, Priya, no problem. So is there any other questions, or uh, is there
I think
anything?
there
I
are
think
no more questions. I think we can just, share your LinkedIn, and if any still have a doubt, you can either reach core members too, or directly to the sir. We will share the LinkedIn ID,
sure,
and you can
sure,
contact him.
sure. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much, guys, for having me. And if you have any doubts, concerns, or if you want motivation for that aspect, you have a LinkedIn ID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, someone has already shared his LinkedIn ID in the chat. You can just
Okay.
directly,
Rishabh Sharma. Yeah.
yeah, you can directly just contact him if you have any further doubts in the LinkedIn.
Okay. So shall we end it then, or do we
Yeah.
wait for questions?
I think there are no more questions.
Oh,
We can
sure.
end it because it's already 6:30. So yeah,
Sure. No issue. Thank you
thank
so
you
much
so
once
much.
again, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much once again for joining.